A couple of days ago when I did my response video to Saberspark about how he felt about the double standards and the hypocrisy and all that of YouTube, I basically came out and said that YouTube, although Saberspark has a right to his opinions and his feelings, YouTube is not the only video online site, uploading site that is, that kind of has these double standards and deals and has this kind of hypocrisy as well. There are other ones as well. There are other ones besides them, like Dailymotion, Vimeo, a Vimeo, if you will, Bitchute. Surprisingly, I know some people may not, believe that to be true, but it is. Meta Cafe. Many of them, present and past, if you will, have had double standards and the hypocrisy that YouTube, gets blamed for or criticized for by the likes of someone like Saberspark. They've had those issues as well. Even Blip and vid.me have had these issues when they were around. But one thing that Saberspark did touch upon, if you will, was the monetization. And how that seems, I guess to him, the way he was trying to put it, it seems a little not less hypocritical, but kind of confusing to understand. Because it's understandable, if you use something that has copyright material and YouTube immediately after checking it says, your video's still viewable by a lot of people, but you just can't make money off it. Yeah, that could be understandable and accepted for the fact that, okay, we get that. We're not the ones that, created the material we're using for our video, even though it's a video on free. It's kind of basically a video that's very what did he put? What's the word he said? He said along the lines of descriptive, basically researchable, stuff like that he feels and believes would fall under fair use. So it's understandable to hear someone like Saberspark come out and say that the monetization system, the money system, if you will, the revenue system of YouTube is kind of confusing. But just like I mentioned before, and I'm not saying this to kiss up to YouTube or Google, but as I said before, the same revenue situation and confusing in conflict, if you will, could be said for all the other video uploading sites, present and past. I mean, you can't tell me Dailymotion doesn't deal with something like this right now, or Vimeo, or Bitchute, or Meta Cafe. You can't tell me they don't deal with it. You can't tell me TikTok, now under new ownership, and mostly a US-based company now, doesn't deal with that. You can't tell me that when they were around, vid.me and Blip TV didn't deal with that, because they did. They did. They all dealt with, people being confused about the revenue system and how they would get paid, for their content. So YouTube's not alone in this. They're not. But I do get where Saberspark is coming from. Because you see, recently, a lot of videos that I've been uploading, as crazy as this sounds, for some odd reason, I'm sharing revenue. I'm sharing revenue. And being on YouTube for as long as I've been on YouTube, I would think, first of all, that some of these videos would be copyright claimed and ineligible for monetization, but yet I'm sharing monetization. And you wonder yourself, how is that possible? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I'll give you an example. The PMV I did over this weekend, featuring the song Forever, the version that was done on Full House by John Stamos' character, Jesse, and along with his band, the Rippers. The cover of Forever, I used that. And that's a cover that incorporates the Beach Boys, but it's still a cover. And I'm thinking, okay, that's going to get copyrighted. I won't make money off it, right? Nope. Instead, not only am I making money, I'm sharing revenue. But here's the confusing part. DHX and Hasbro would basically copyright anything you'd be using as far as actual footage, right? That's not the case here. It might be the case later, but it's not the case here. And I think the reason being is because revenue is being shared. And that if Hasbro or DHX comes down and says, hey, we're copyrighting this video and we're going to make it ineligible for monetization, then they're going to make it not just ineligible for someone like me, which I'm understandable with, and I should say I'm good with. I understand, that they have the right to do that, but they be basically also taking away monetization from those that are sharing it with me, that are allowing me to make that money off that fan vid, off that PMV. So yeah, I get it's kind of confusing. The same thing when I re-uploaded as an 8K version. That's right, 8K version, thanks to online-convert.com. An 8K version of, Live and Learn, a video, a fan vid I did back, 17 years ago. Of, based around Archie Sonic and Sonic SatAM. I did that. I re-uploaded that as an 8K version, so you can watch it on your 8K or 4K screens. And just like with Forever, I'm getting revenue by sharing it or having it shared with me from those behind, I would assume, the song. But I have footage on there that WildBrain, who currently owns the distributing rights to SatAM, would copyright, but they don't. And again, I think it's because of the fact that just like with DHX and Hasbro, if they decide to cause that video to be ineligible, they're taking revenue, I should say not food, but revenue away from those that are sharing it with me and others that are sharing it as well with them. So I get where Saberspark and anybody else is talking about when they say it's the monetization system is confusing with YouTube, because it is. It's definitely confusing. And I don't think we can deny that or ignore that. But the way I look at it, just like Dailymotion, just like Bitchute, just like Vimeo, just like Metacafe, and any other, upcoming video uploading site that's trying to be the next YouTube, YouTube itself, under Google's watch, is trying to improve. They're trying, to fix things, update things. Heck, when I do live streams a couple of times, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, the live chat, it's there, but, nobody's responding. Even though I enabled live chat to be, in progress when I would do a live stream, it's not working sometimes. And I think, again, that's all because of the fact that YouTube, Google, are still fixing things. They're trying to work on how to correct things so that there is no confusion, especially with the monetization. And I think they're also realizing that not only realizing, but I think what they're doing, as well as realizing what I'm trying to say, excuse me for a second, while I get some coffee. There we go. But like I said, I think what's going on, basically, long story short, is I think Google and YouTube are realizing, hey, if certain people are willing to share the revenue with the content creators that are using it, or using the content, then those that would come in and try to make it ineligible, maybe we could, work something out to where they get a piece of the revenue. And I think that's what's going on. I think they're trying to work it out to where even if, let's say, WildBrain or DHX came down upon me and said, hey, this has got to be ineligible, your video is still going to be, viewable to the public, but it's going to be ineligible for monetization. Maybe that's what YouTube and Google's trying to do. They're trying to say, hey, look, these people are allowing revenue to be shared between him and them. Well, guess what? We've talked to them, and they're even willing to share revenue with you. So maybe that's what they're trying to do. Maybe they're trying to work it out to where if people like me, Angry Joe, Saberspark, Doug Walker, Nostalgia Critic, Linkara, Cinemassacre, anybody that may use content that might get them copyrighted, maybe that's what Google and YouTube's trying to do. Maybe they're trying to fix it to where if one party is okay with it and is even willing to share revenue with you, maybe they're trying to work it out to where that revenue that gets shared between you and that one party also gets shared with the other parties. That's what I'm thinking. But like I said, I understand where Saberspark's coming from and anybody else is coming from. Because there's also that ad suitability, if you will, obstacle you got to get over. And what I mean by ad suitability obstacle, it's the fact that, and that's the new noon horn going off here in Newman. It's the fact that basically, hold on for a second. Oh, never mind. I was just looking at something. But basically, what was I trying to say? Hey, I was distracted there. Hold on. I totally went blank there because of that, and I just noticed something pop up there. Oh yeah. Like I said, I think they're trying to make it. Oh yeah, that's the ad suitability. I get that there's confusing with that because there are things that I will upload either through live streams or even just a regular video that will get ad suitability right next to it. It's like I can make money off it, which is cool and great, but the ads are going to be limited or non-existent. But I'll still kind of make money off it depending on whatever situation allows me to do so. I mean, recently I did that video where I talked about, how one individual, political public figure, came out at a rally and said that, hey, our former president could be reinstated. And that our current president should start packing his bags or something like that. And I came out and I just basically gave my thoughts and opinions on the fact that I'd never heard about that before until now. That's something new to me, and I'm sure anybody else. But yet, because I talked about that person and I put that person's name in the title of the video, I got ad suitability. In other words, limited ads, if any, if you will. Yeah, I'm still making revenue in a sense, but the ad suitability, is very, the ad suitability is making, having any kind of ads, put on during, before, or after the video, very, very hard to do because of what I'm talking about. Now, I don't know if maybe that's because of the fact that, they politically, places like YouTube, Dailymotion, Bitchute, and all of them, they don't want to, deal with any, problems political-wise, and I understand and respect that, if that's the case. But if it is, then you need to let people know. You need to let them know, hey, if you're going to talk political stuff, please make sure it's political stuff that's not going to cause, confusion or anger or whatever. Because if they do that, then that's fine. A lot of us will understand. Okay, maybe we can't talk about that, but maybe we could talk about it in a way that's not going to, go down that avenue and cost us a chance at revenue. But again, it is confusing when you have that. Heck, when I do my live streams of my DCWA Creator Wrestling League, and sometimes I do a women's Creator Wrestling tournament, or I do the Women's of Honor CAW Creator Wrestling League show, sometimes I'll get ad suitability because the word women is in there. But then, what's crazy is sometimes, if not lately, it won't do that, or if it does, it later on corrects itself because it realizes, I think, oh, that's a game, it's not real. So, there are times that it goes from giving me that ad suitability, the limited ads and everything, fixes itself and goes right to ads. Allows me to make money. So like I said, I understand where Saberspark and others are coming from when it comes to the monetization and other things that are confusing about YouTube. I get that. I totally do. But again, and I'm saying this not to kiss up to YouTube or Google, but I'm saying this, as a fact from my own personal point of view, my own opinion as well, that I think what they're doing is they're trying to fix things to where it's not as confusing. It's not as, tormentorous on our minds of, okay, how do we put this video together and make money off it, but without, getting copyrighted or without getting a strike or without getting our monetization taken away because it's this and that. Yeah, it's torturous on the mind to figure all that out. And I think, hopefully, pray to God, that's what the people at Google and YouTube are trying to do. They're trying to fix that. And I think that's why when you notice the sharing option show up, doing some of your videos, and these are videos you would think you're either gonna be ineligible for monetization, or you'll be fortunate enough to make it on your own, without sharing. When you see that show up, to me, that's a sign of they're trying to fix things, and they're trying to maybe work things out to where if one group of people or labels or whatever are willing to share revenue with you, that those that would probably strike that down, maybe they're trying to work it out, as I mentioned, to allow them to get a piece of that revenue too. Maybe a bigger piece than both yourself and those that are willing to share would want them to get. But still, if that's the case, then to me, that's a good move. That's a cool move. But overall, again, I understand where, like I said, and I know I'm being repetitive here, I do apologize. I do understand where Saberspark's coming from. I do. But I think, like I said, I'm not saying this to kiss up to YouTube or Google, because I've had my issues with them too. Everybody has had them. But I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to fix things. They're trying to fix things so it's less confusing, less torturous on the mind, and revenue-wise, it allows us to still make a living or make some money on the side, even if we have to share that revenue, with other people, other curators or labels or whatever the case may be. But that's just my take on it, guys. Let me know how you feel about it down below. Saberspark, if you do watch this, let me know what your thoughts are, and I will talk to y'all later.